Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. Smash that subscribe button. Leave a like. We can't thank you enough for all your support. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us, Ray Benny Sports. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
TikTok! Your favorite? Your favorite?
Nah, I have not spent too much time on TikTok.
So. Okay, well, let's move on. We got some NFL talk, some CFL talk, CFL Power Rankings, a little bit of Winnipeg Jets, a little bit of NHL talk, but let's start off with our Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who traveled 2 time zones away, went in with their backup quarterback, a B-side O-line, and still made it competitive, still entertaining.
Yeah, they played a decent game. Drew Brown a little up and down, a couple of jitters at the beginning, pick 6 early, then a pick 6 late. So BC got some good points out of their D out of that. But other than that, I mean, he ended up with over 300 yards, 325, 3 touchdowns. Good first effort as a starter.
Yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being perfect, what would you give Drew Brown and his performance against the BC Lions?
Yeah, I think I'd give him a 7. I mean, pretty decent game all around. Stuff to clean up for sure.
Yeah, I'd give him a 6.5. He did put up some solid numbers. At the beginning, his first pass there to Rashid Bailey, where he got smoked, that could have been taken for a pick 6. I thought that was a sign of, oh boy, there's going to be a couple of those balls. And there were a couple of those balls, and he paid for them. But other than that, he played a solid game against not a patchwork O-line, just a different configured O-line without their starters. So I think he did represent himself well. Give him another week, a couple more practices. He's solid.
Yeah, and also going back, Michael Couture is playing his first game back at center. So I think they had a couple issues, low snaps or whatever, stuff like that. So, got to work through that kind of stuff, and first-time starter. So he'll learn from it, and he's looked pretty good.
I like that you mentioned that Couture and the low snap, and I like the leadership of Drew Brown, not blaming it on Michael Couture. And it's true. If you have a low snap, you don't force the timing route to the outside. Your timing's already off, so you go to your second read. And he realized that, and he said it, and he took it on his shoulders, and good on him. Real solid future. The only thing I'm worried about, man, is this tape that other teams have now, the scouting they have on him, and teams probably making a move for him in the offseason, whether it be Montreal, Ottawa, maybe even Hamilton. He's showing that he can ball in this league.
Yeah, and especially with all these teams, I mean, a lot of them are looking for a quarterback, right? I mean, half the league is, we got Bo Levi out there, possibly Vernon Adams as well, but there's a lot of teams looking for a decent quarterback in to start, and Drew Brown has definitely looked good over his couple games that he's played. So I could see some teams having some interest. Is he a free agent after this season?
I'm not sure exactly what his contract situation is, but even if a move has to be made, CFL draft picks, they go flying around. So a team's looking for a quarterback, they'll definitely give up a first next year and whatever and whatnot to get a potentially exciting quarterback in Drew Brown.
Yeah, and the Bombers would still have Prukop, so he's a pretty good still decent backup. He's progressed and looked better this year when he's played. But of course, they obviously got to get Colaro signed after the season, but I guess that's something to look at in the offseason.
Yeah, we talk about offseason. Why not get a little bit of offseason? Bombers coming to a week off, so you have a bit of time to talk. Stanley Bryant is getting up in age. We were starting to read that in papers, and him possibly thinking that it's not confirmed. People assuming that this might be his final year, 35, 36-year-old. So I think, if you can get a young Canadian and trade Drew Brown for that, those are some moves that you might want to look at.
Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't even think he was that old when I saw that today too. I was like, whoa, what the heck? Yeah. And to keep the dynasty going for the Bombers or the winning going, you need a succession plan, especially at left tackle, right? You can't leave that, with a weak position or a weak player or anything like that. So depends on Bryant. They win a 3rd Grey Cup in a row here. He may be like, that's enough. I'm going, go out on top, right?
Yeah.
So
I hope it doesn't go like the Andrew Harris. Can't believe I almost forgot his name. I hope it doesn't go the Andrew Harris route, where he's kind of forced to because of payroll and stuff like that.
Yeah, but like you say, if he's facing some injuries, he hasn't been as good this year as he was last year. So maybe his body's coming and telling him, "Hey, man, it's time." So he may walk out on his own this time, and then instead of Harris, kind of thing.
Yeah, when you're taking on the league's top rush ends, league's top defensive ends, week in and week out, and being prime for how many years in a row now, and he had good
Yeah.
years in Calgary before he came here, for sure the miles are going to catch up with you in all those playoff games to get to the chip. So
Yeah, for sure.
not
Going
fun
back,
to talk about, but cool to talk about.
yeah, we'll go further in that in the offseason for sure. But
Okay.
going back to the game for a second, Leggio missed 3 field goals, special teams struggle all around. Is there a big concern in that area at all with the kicker and the special teams?
Yeah, I don't know what all these changes in the roster, if that had any effect on people who were playing special teams. We know Jenarion Grant was able to bring one back and got a lot of yardage along with BC's returner. I can't remember what his name was, but he went crazy. So I don't know if that affected that, but special teams was a bit off. I'm not too concerned about Leggio and kicking more than I am of the kick. What is it? Coverage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's worrisome.
That's true. I mean, he missed 2 over 50 and 1 from 45. He should probably be hitting that for sure. Mm-hmm. My concern is just the return yards that Terry Williams got. The only thing is, I guess, with field goal misses, I mean, you don't have the personnel, the greatest personnel on there. So kick returns are obviously going to possibly give up a lot of yards, especially when you're coming from 50 and 40 yards, right?
Absolutely.
So he did a lot of damage on there, but, it continually helped the BC offense get into scoring position with all those returns. But crazy night between Grant and Williams, 598 yards total, smashed the CFL single game record.
Yeah. Jenarion Grant breaking the Bomber record for return TDs as well, passing Gilbert's friend Keith Stokes.
Very little games too.
Yeah.
It's funny because I never remember the Bombers really always, very rare that they ever had a good returner, kind of thing.
Not until Albert Johnson the third.
Albert Johnson, yeah. And then Stokes, yeah.
Cal Murphy never had a good returner. He always had Ken Winey and Alan Boyko receiving the balls, just so they wouldn't be dropped. Nothing about moving forward. I'm not lying. It's true. How about that defense? They didn't play particularly well. I know Jeff Cook wasn't there, so maybe BC was able to put a little more attention on Willie Jefferson. But again, playing a prime running back, the running back almost did as they pleased. 14 carries, over 100 yards. Butler looking strong on the goal line. I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, and it could have been worse because BC basically changed up their game plan. He was at like 75 yards, like in 5 carries or something like that.
It was ridiculous.
So BC didn't follow that same game plan really in the second half and didn't run him as much. But yeah, it's a concern, especially, Kadeem Carey's had good games against the Bombers too. Yeah. Hamilton did it, West Hills the other day, or a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, it is a bit of concern even without Jeff Coat in there. It's something to look at, right? Because if they're getting past that D-line, the linebackers aren't making tackles either. So it'll be interesting. They got to shore that up, especially with playoff football because, weather-wise, running games take over sometimes.
We need Jeff Coat.
Yeah.
They need Jeff Coat. I'm not going on the field. Not in the near future, at least.
Yeah, they got 3 weeks to get him healthy, right? So
Yeah. CFL Power Rankings?
Yeah, for sure.
Let's start in the basement like we usually do. Has there any change from last week?
Nope, still the same for me. I still got the Edmonton Elks at number 9. Still finding amazing and funny ways to lose at home.
How disappointing. I got a lot of friends and homies in Edmonton, and I got some messages this weekend. It's like they're distraught. They can't handle it.
16-3 halftime lead. You're up, and you give up 2 TDs with 3:50 left.
Yeah.
Even it started with an interception by Trey Ford, who came in for Cornelius, who had to go out for concussion protocol. So it's like, why are you even letting the guy thrown up in that position? You're winning the game, just punt it away, get it down there. But it's a classic Edmonton.
Of course. And I have them at number 9 as well. 8, I have Ottawa with Winnipeg's Bobby Dice. Hopefully the next head coach there couldn't pull one off in a great game against Al's and your boy, Danny Machocha.
They did, but another team that knows how to lose a heartbreaking home game, right? Arbuckle looked good. Offense was, I'm putting up some points, but again, Ottawa at the end found a way to lose.
Yeah, I really think they should keep that young coordinator who's first game called was last week.
Yeah,
and Bobby Dice around. That's a good nucleus. Bobby Dice has been in the league forever.
Yeah, it's a long time. He's probably due a head coaching position. So
yeah. Twitter friends, start the hashtag hire Bobby Dice. For sure, I'm going to start that. Yeah. Who do you have at 7?
I got your boys from Saskatchewan.
Wow, do you remember last episode? This guy, your boys, This is Saskatchewan. Get out of here with that trash. I have them at 7-2. Who do you got at 6? Well, do you want to talk about Saskatchewan?
No, I mean, besides that, they're out of the playoffs right now, but that's all I got to talk about them.
Is Montreal at 6?
They got a back-to-back with Calgary. What do you think their chances are?
Calgary still has something to play for?
Yes.
Oh, chances are this much. That's a big zero, friends. Big zero. Who do you got at 6? I got the Owls.
Ooh, that's a good one. I still got Hamilton, the team that beat Saskatchewan at number 6. Big win for them.
Hamilton just beat Calgary.
They did. But I think Calgary, Mayer didn't look great. Probably threw a few picks too many. I mean, the guy had 4 picks going in, threw 3 in the first half. But good game, all around, even by Hamilton. Their offense was pretty good. Dane Evans looked good. Tim White, 6 catches, 106 yards.
Yeah. First
win in McMahon in Calgary in 18 years.
It's still McMahon, isn't it?
I guess so. Yeah, it is.
It has to be. Nothing is right in the world. I was broken up with Skydome, but nothing would be right if that's not McMahon anymore. Yeah. You better not name that thing. Just burn it down eventually when they get a stadium.
Yeah, that's the thing. At some point, they're still chomping at that stadium. It's gonna be renamed at some point.
Is that still gonna be a big combo Flames and stadium thing?
I haven't heard that in a long time, but that was the plan years ago, right?
Mess. A city that size with the resources they have, this thing should have been built already. Come on, get your stuff together.
And that's the thing; they still got to build an arena plus a stadium. So,
if Winnipeg can do it, how come Calgary can't?
That's because the government in Winnipeg gives out money. Calgary's like, no, I don't know.
Worth it
for sure.
5 is that where we're at? I have Hamilton at 5 because you had Montreal there.
Well, yeah, I got Montreal still at number 5. Close win against Red Blacks, but they got it done. I think Montreal can end up beating Hamilton.
I don't think so. Not next week or any weeks ahead. But I guess flip a coin. It's the East.
But they don't play each other either until the playoffs possibly here, right?
They will play each other the first round of the playoffs.
If Hamilton doesn't end up blowing it, because they got 2 games against Ottawa left. So, and Ottawa's been playing pretty good.
No doubt. That should be fun to watch.
Yeah.
And they would love to be spoilers.
Oh, for sure.
BC, I got at 4. Who do you got at 4?
I got Calgary at number 4.
What?
Yeah, I didn't. I know Mayer not characteristic throwing 3 touchdowns, but it was an ugly loss. Did not look good all around. This is a big game. You needed to win to keep your chances of hosting a West Semi. You've lost the tiebreaker to BC, so you got to win out here, kind of thing, and hope BC. If BC wins one more, they're good, aren't they? Right? Because then even if they end up with the same record, Calgary loses the tiebreaker. So Calgary could end up resting guys in that last week against Saskatchewan.
So. I have Calgary at 2. Toronto's at 3. They've been at 3 for a while for me. They're just settling there. Not because they're playing particularly well, but because the other teams around them have just been kind of la, especially BC, whatever la means.
La. There's a lot of inconsistency around this area. I mean, Toronto, yes, I got them at 3 as well. I got BC at number 2. Toronto struggled for the most part against the Elks to beat them. And you could almost say the Elks kind of beat themselves and helped Toronto out. Yeah. They hadn't won also in Edmonton since 2013. So some crazy streaks got broken this weekend.
Wow. This is the 18-year one. How can you go into a city, because it's like 18 years in a row other than COVID, and not win once?
Yeah.
Wow.
18 years.
How many years is it now that they haven't won a Grey Cup?
Hamilton, are they at 19 going into 20?
They're 20 plus.
Are they that far? Because I mean, Hamilton? I didn't think they were. Yeah, they haven't won since Danny McManus in like 1996. Mid 90s, right?
Yeah. How many years is that?
Yeah.
Hurry up, math.
They're just under 30, really, right? 26, 27 then?
I'm not doing any math. Yeah. The only math I got to do is Winnipeg is at number 1. That's my math right there in the power rankings. You got Winnipeg at 1?
Winnipeg's at 1. They're going to stay at 1. So,
yeah.
I mean, no one's going to knock them off. They're just resting guys for the next 3 weeks.
Absolutely. And I have Calgary at number 2. I don't know how you have them at 4. They're not that bad.
I don't trust them.
One bad week, like the Bombers when they lost to Montreal. They're not that bad.
No, they're not that bad. But for this week, they're that bad.
Let's talk some football south of the border. Is Aaron Rodgers done?
You know what? There's so many factors that go into this. He has certainly not looked good so far this season. He has not looked like himself from past seasons, his MVP season last year. struggling with the long ball, which used to be his bread and butter with, but new receivers this year. Majority of them are pretty much rookies. The only guy that he had coming back was Randall Cobb. He ended up getting hurt today. So now they're in trouble.
Lazard he had last year.
Oh, Lazard, yes. I keep forgetting because Lazard was always so injured all the time. Barely played, right?
To start the season. He had an okay day today, him and Tanyan, but I don't think Aaron Rodgers is done. But like you say, there's so many pieces around him that are playing like trash. That O-line, how can you let the Jets hit this guy 9 times, 4 sacks? That makes no sense. And they can't get a running game going. Like less than 3.5 yards per run. They're just not playing good, and their defense disappointing.
Yeah, Rodgers had 2 fumbles today. He lost one as well. But yeah, like you say, it's not just him. Wide receivers, O-line. Even the running game is not going. And I don't know if that goes back to Matt LaFleur's play calling or what, but you got to use AJ. The things that was working for them was these short passes to Jones and AJ Dillon.
Yeah.
And that opened things up more for them. But they haven't built that enough around that to do it. So I don't think Rodgers is done yet. He's definitely not himself.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing that the NFC is kind of weak, in the middle pack. So they're still 3-3. They still got a pretty good chance to get it together before the season gets too old. And
they're supposed to have a wicked defense this year. And 5 out of 6 games, they've allowed 125 plus yards rushing. That's not a good defense. That's not how you win games.
No.
The Jets went off in rushing, over 160, was it?
Yeah, Breece Hall had a pretty crazy game for a rookie against that D.
Yeah, nothing's going right.
The one thing is the Niners showed over the last few years is that Green Bay's run defense was never great, and teams didn't attack it enough. So maybe people are learning from that and now starting to attack it instead of trying to throw on that D. Yeah.
No, nothing's going right in Green Bay. Even their special teams, where they get a block punt for a touchdown and they have a field goal that was nothing's field goal. Nothing's going right.
I'm pretty sure that they hired the special coordinator that the Niners fired last year because of these kind of mistakes last year as well. So if you go and do that after that season, you're kind of asking for it in a way.
Yeah. What's his name? Let's say Brett Favre. Aaron Rodgers said they got to simplify the plays. No motion. That's how they're moving the ball and they're successful in scoring. Do you think that whoever's making the calls there should get their ass on the phone and look to get OBJ in there?
Yeah, you probably need someone. You need a veteran receiver. I guess the other thing is they lost Nathaniel Hackett this year, right, to Denver.
Oh,
so maybe that's affecting a bit of the play call, but they definitely need a wide receiver in there that they can trust. Rodgers saying they have to simplify things. This is a tough offense for young wide receivers to learn.
Yeah.
So, OBJ's kind of played. He did it with the Rams a little bit. So he probably come in, but he's not coming in until probably mid-November anyways. Right. So that's almost a month away still.
True. That's true. Well, sounds like they got to make a move in Green Bay something.
Well, that's the thing. You lost Devontae Adams and all you did was sign Sammy Watkins, who's injury prone.
That's nonsense. That's nonsense. That's why Aaron Rodgers wanted to leave in the first place. What did I text you earlier today? He's going to retire after this year and return with the Bears next year. Just watch. Watch,
crazy friends. With the Bears. Awesome? The Bears of all teams.
Just one up Brett Favre in every way he can. Win a second championship. That's how you can. Let's talk about another veteran quarterback questionably falling off. Hey, he's 45. Thought he would fall off a couple years ago. Tom Brady. Are you concerned with the drop-off of play? What happened this week? He was not good.
Yeah, a bit concerned because, he didn't look good at the beginning of the season. Yeah, he didn't have his receivers. He had a couple good games. And then all of a sudden he's reverting back to it. And they're asking him to throw a lot. I think the last few games he's thrown over 40 times in all those games.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and he has not – his O-line's struggling as well. Another guy that, is used to having a pretty good O-line. Now they're struggling. So on top of that, he struggles. But maybe it's because he was too busy going to Robert Kraft's wedding this weekend that he missed a walkthrough in meetings to go to a wedding.
That's nonsense.
What NFL owner gets married during the NFL season?
What a fool, eh? And what kind of fool goes? Come on, guy. You're supposed to be committed to this team. You take off. You don't travel with them. You travel on a private plane to get to Pittsburgh. And then you're yelling at your old lineman on the sideline. Clown. Are you serious?
Yeah, he was yelling at them. They had so many drives that would end in Pittsburgh's zone. They settled for field goals. Like this is Pittsburgh D that just got lit up by Josh Allen last week, right?
Yeah.
And you're thinking, okay, Brady can come in and do the same, but he could not get it going. And that Pittsburgh D stiffened up, and played a pretty good game. And Brady had no answer.
Yeah, good job on Mike Tomlin and his coaching staff. But coaching staff's Todd Bowles got to get something going in the Bucks.
Yeah,
people are going to doubt him again.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I think Brady's probably closer to being done than Rodgers is. I mean, obviously the age is quite a big difference, but
yeah,
he's struggled. Even with all those yards he put up today in passes, he only ended up with one TD. So it's a concern for sure.
There's got to be, obviously the off-field stuff has to be distracting him. He can't say it is. And the stuff that's coming out now, about Giselle being frustrated with him and his commitment to his family. And it's probably all due to football, but I don't know. Then you got this Antonio clown putting out tweets with his face in there. How it's pretty funny, but still, why? What's wrong with that man?
Oh, he is messed. He needs to get some help or talk to someone or get his head checked out. But I agree that was a bit of a funny picture, but the thing is Brady let the guy live at his house and all that stuff. And this is how you're repaying him. So
isn't that crazy? Yeah, that's what happens when you hang out with Kanye West or Ye. Wasn't it Ye? Ye. Bills win over the Chiefs in a good game, 24-20. Yeah. Everyone's looking forward to this rematch from last year's playoffs, the overtime, when a lot of people were talking about, hey, we need to give the other team the ball, la-da-da. What are your thoughts on this game? Big statement for the
great game. Great win for the Bills and Josh Allen to kind of, I know it doesn't make up for losing in the playoffs and not getting a chance to go play in a Super Bowl or anything, but it's a good first step. And the Bills are showing now that they're the top team in this league. And they got it on both sides of the ball. The offense can score when they want for the most part. And their D is getting better and getting the guys back from injury. Josh Allen over 300 yards today, 3 TDs. That guy, he's taking that next step. And the next step after that is the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Look, who's going to beat this team? Like the rest of the way here? Packers? No. Jets, Vikings, Browns, Lions, Patriots, Jets. No. They might not lose another game until the playoffs, if that is at all.
Yeah.
They should. So impressive.
They did. And then they should easily beat pretty much all those teams. I mean, you never know, obviously, any given Sunday, but you look at that schedule and the way they're playing, they should be rolling into the playoffs by the time that's ready. And Mahomes, a couple of TDs, but 2 interceptions, and that late interception wasn't very good. Forcing something in there which he probably shouldn't have. But great late drive by Josh Allen to take that lead when they were losing for pretty much most of the game.
Absolutely.
So he just got it done. Impressive. But they knew it's like, hey, we can settle for field goal and send this to overtime, but it's like, we need this touchdown, and they stayed aggressive.
And I was one of the Von Miller doubters. I thought, that's it. He's done. And that guy's a presence still.
Yeah.
Stat line might not be strong every week, but he is a presence. Like Willie Jefferson in Winnipeg. Yeah. He's not getting the big numbers, but he's there. He's making a difference.
Yeah, even when he went to Rams last year, I was like, big deal. And he started off slow, but by the time the playoffs came in the Super Bowl, like he was a force, right? And like you say, he may not have to put up the sacks, but him just being on the field opens things up for the other guys to get at the quarterback. And, that could be the signing of the offseason if it all works out for the Bills this year.
Absolutely. Good on him. Good job, old man. He's not that old, but for
he's quite old in terms of NFL, but
yeah, he's played it well.
Yeah.
Quickly, without thinking too long, which team needs to hit the panic button?
Well, I could say my own team, the Niners, for their display today.
Really? Why would you say the panic button though?
No, I could say, but I'm trying to think of the top of my head. You got to go with the Cardinals.
That's the one I'm thinking of too. It's just ridiculous there now.
Does Cliff Kingsbury survive? I know they get Hopkins back this week, but they just lost Marquise Brown too.
But it's not just it's the system. Nothing's happening, and I'm sure this quarterback's not studying. I'm sure he's not studying. Should have kept it in the contract.
The Seahawks defense has been pretty terrible this year, and they've got scored on a lot. And you could only put up 9 today.
That's horrible.
That is horrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
and the thing is, Murray had like 10 runs for over 100 yards and stuff too. But it's like, you got to get there with throwing the ball too.
That's horrible.
He has regressed every year since he came into this league. And same with Kingsbury. Usually they start off hot, and then their second half of the season they falter. But this is just like nuclear this year.
Yeah, and the team doesn't have an identity, and then it's just terrible. He's got to get an offensive, or he's got to go back to college. Sorry to say.
Yeah, depending on when their bye week is, if they keep losing, he could be out pretty soon.
Yeah, let's give him with Hopkins for a couple of weeks and see what happens. But that hook's going to come soon.
Yeah,
that hook's
not going to be good.
Let's talk some Winnipeg Jets looking impressive against the New York Rangers in their season debut. What are your thoughts on that game? How they look so far?
Well, I'll start off by saying we're probably going 82-0.
Oh, God.
All right, just kidding. Pretty good first period. They came out. They played well. They kind of played that you got glimpses of what their new system and all that stuff's going to be. Second period came along and the Rangers kind of took over and Hellebuck stood on his head to keep that game the way it was and the Jets up. And then third period, slow start again, Rangers score, but the Jets kept pressing and they played a better third than second. Then they scored the goal with about 5 minutes left. Big goal by Sam Gagner.
Yeah, your boy.
Good for him, as much as I'd probably slag the signing. But
sure you did.
It was huge. And it just picked the Jets up and they played those last 5 minutes pretty good.
I think that's a team that we're all hoping to see. How long they can do it for, who knows? Unfortunately, Rick Bowness couldn't be with them that night dealing with COVID. It's still out there. But, they also were playing Rangers that were coming off a back-to-back against the Wild. Didn't they just whoop the Wild like 7-3, 7-1?
Yeah, they were up pretty early on them. Wild got a few back, but yeah.
So
and their third game since Tuesday or Wednesday when the league started. So
yes, and boy, Trubo's getting the Boo Birds were out for that dude. Hey, Boo Birds were out for that dude. A little much for my liking. I'm like, okay, 2 to 3. Get over it though. Get over it.
Yeah, if you watch the story TSN I think it was that did on Trouba in the last week, you kind of get an idea of why he did what he did, but it's just like it didn't come off great at the time, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, okay, time has passed, let the guy go. But the booing, I didn't like the booing. Not a huge fan of it. Like you say, you do it a couple times if you wanted to. The thing is, he ended up getting that late puck over the glass, which led to the Shifley overtime goal, right?
Yeah.
So those guys just in the rink, they just let him have it for that.
Speaking of Shifley really looked good. That's the Shifley we're hoping to see. If he gets 2 points a game for the rest of the year, I'll be happy. 2, 3.
Did
he get in on the corner? No, the points.
No.
Did he get on the empty net that Connor got?
No, it was Wheeler on the ice.
Oh, so Wheeler got an apple.
Yeah. So even going back to that, it was kind of shocking not to see Shifley on the ice at the end there. I can't remember
that hat trick.
Well, that and the fact that obviously you're not trusting as much for his defensive game, right?
Yeah.
Dubois, Connor, which I was surprised by, and Wheeler. So, that's kind of a thing at Czech, but yeah, he played a great game, 2 goals. I mean, they had their moments where they looked dominant. They had their moments where they were getting dominated, especially in that second, but good start for him. Hopefully he can keep that going. That line did look pretty good at times together with Ehlers and Connor. So pretty impressive. Ehlers had a nice, was it Ehlers pass to Shifley?
I think so.
Yeah. Well, it was Dubois on the power play, which was a beauty. But I do believe Ehlers set up the first one to Shifley.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And the defense quietly good.
Yeah.
I'd love to see this defense be quietly good for the rest of the year.
Stanley did not look good on that goal.
No.
I don't know what the guy's doing, spinning around.
He's so prone for these just ridiculous mistakes and being out of place. And it looks comical because he's so tall and lanky.
Yeah.
It's like, it reminds me of, remember back in the day when we watched hockey and it was on Disney and Goofy was like the ref or something, just all over the place. I'm not calling him a goof. Please don't get Logan Stanley after my ass. I'm just saying it looked like it.
And it's exactly right what you're saying. Like when he gives up a goal or like he gives up a scoring chance, I guess, he does look comical in it. Like even on this goal, like spinning around, it's just like, what are you doing, man? Just stand up.
But the thing, when he plays well, he takes like a quarter out of the zone up. And he is good. He takes away passing lanes and shooting lanes, but he's just prone to more than one time a game.
Yes, I was going to say the same thing. He's prone to at least a few mistakes a game. So
boy, oh boy.
And that's the thing. After this many games, you're hoping he would have cleaned those up by now. But it's still there. And they weren't. He was with Schmidt, right?
Was he with Nate Schmidt?
Yeah, wasn't he? Or was he at Dylan? I can't remember. Wow, terrible.
So long ago, and then they played not until tomorrow.
Yeah, it's amazing because some teams are already at 4 games already. Jets are at 1, and now they're going to pile all these games in this week, I guess, to catch up. So
these schedule makers, they never give a damn about the Jets. Because in the end, I'm sure, I haven't looked at their schedule in the end, but days and how many times they're on the road. But the Jets always get screwed because it doesn't matter to the league where we are, who we play, what times, zones, whatever. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, this was another back-to-back coming up this week as well. So, you know what? Another thing I like that game, I like PLD, Wheeler, and Perfetti together. Yeah. No points or goals, anything for that line, but they had some good chances and some good looks. So
I agree.
They'll progress.
I like that combination as well. I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow against Dallas. But the other good ones is also the Avs and the Golden Knights. How do you see these ones? Those are tough ones going right there. Those two teams so close together.
You're back to back.
Yeah.
So obviously, you're assuming Rittich is going to get one of them. I'm assuming the second night of it. Vegas has started off pretty good, 3-0 start. Yeah. And they've looked impressive. You know, they shut out Chicago 1-0, which is their tightest game at all of them, which is kind of surprising.
Did Vegas beat Calgary?
They haven't played Calgary yet. They played
Calgary beat the Avs though, right? Like 5-3.
Calgary beat the Avs, yeah. Calgary beat the Avs and then beat Edmonton yesterday too.
I like Calgary. Right, I'm just saying. I
like that. I like the way you said that.
While you're looking for some statistics, what's up with Laine? He's out like a month?
Yeah, out 3 to 4 weeks. Elbow strain. And now Columbus is 0-3.
Oh, and that's
giving up 5 goals a game, I believe. So it's not looking good after all those signings, all that hype, Johnny Gaudreau, all that stuff.
I don't know why Johnny Gaudreau went there. I still don't know why. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
That line is so fragile. There's no depth. It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. I mean, you signed that. I know you got a chance to go play with Laine, put up some good goals and stuff like that. But then stuff like this happens. And now where's your depth, right? Exactly. Who's going to come in and be able to fill that spot for Laine? And so far it hasn't worked since he got hurt in the first game, scored a goal even. But yeah, it's not getting worse. But their goaltending seems to be struggling this year too, and defensively. Yeah.
Poor Columbus. Poor Laine. There's not 3 seasons in a row where he's missed significant time.
Yeah. Maybe last year he must have got hurt last year too, but he's had some injuries over the last few seasons. But he's signed there now? For 3 years, I think, right?
Yes, sir.
So see how that goes. Hopefully he gets healed up and him and Gaudreau could put on a bit of a show.
You're still looking for him to come back to Winnipeg, aren't you?
Oh, I'd take him back in a second.
Almost everyone would.
Did you see his shaved head?
He looks great, eh? Yeah, that guy looks...
all those long locks, it does look like he's kind of going bald anyways. So.
Oh, for sure he was. He that too much helmet thing is it's like, oh, goodness. Yeah. He's young. He still got to shave that. But yeah, get ahead of the game.
He is still young.
Get ahead of the game. You got it.
Yeah, for sure.
You got any shout-outs?
You know what? Going back to the Bombers, I'm going to shout out Jenarion Grant. We talked about him. He gained sole possession of the club's all-time record for most career return touchdowns with 7, passing Stokes. So, and hit 33 games, right? Something like that.
In 30, yes, exactly.
So good for him. That's fantastic to finally have a returner. We
were talking about him before the season started. We're like, yeah, we can feel this guy. He is going to break some or and he has. He has. I wish they could incorporate him more on the offensive side of the ball again. But only so many balls to go around.
That's the thing. They have him out there, but yeah, like you say, Damsky, Schoen, Bailey, and then you got Wolotarski when he's in there. Ellingson. Like it's a pretty loaded offense at wide receiver.
Mm-hmm. And like we mentioned earlier, it took a long time for us to see consistent good kick returners in Winnipeg. So it's great. Shout out to Alan Boyko again. Forever, number 17, returning punts for a 5-yard average.
Oh, terrible.
But I'm not like,
I always used to just sit there wondering what watching a punt return or a kick return for a touchdown would feel like back then.
yeah, here we are just watching TV. It's like, oh, Gizmo, there he goes again. Oh, pinball, there he goes again.
Yeah.
Oh, there goes Pee Wee Smith. And here's Ellen Boyko. Only player with a TD return from a punt this year, which is kind of weird in the CFL. No,
yeah, that's true too. Hey, that is crazy because you think special teams or that wide field, there'd be way more punt returns for touchdowns.
Not this year.
No,
So
too many penalties.
Yeah, shout out to Jenarion Grant. Benny, you got anything to say to our friends out there?
Yeah, just thanks a lot for listening and subscribing, and have a good week.
And to steal the words of the legendary Ed Whalen from Calgary Stampede Wrestling, in the meantime and in between time, that's it. Another edition of Ray and Benny Talk Sports. Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.